Welcome to the Digital Agency Showcase for 2020. Let me move on to our next agency, which is a whole host of letters stuck together in a difficult to pronounce acronym. They are VMLY&R. When you say it, I guess it's not as hard as if you're reading it. And Leon, I hope, is there. I see him, yes. Leon Kotze is the Associate Creative Director. He's a wordsman at heart, a copywriter, the David to the blank white page Goliath. I like that, Leon. Although he does stand just short of 2 meters, let's just start at the top. His advertising career kicked off, another one, at the AAA School of Advertising in Johannesburg, South Africa. During this part of his journey, he received the school's Excellence Award for winning a gold can lion while still in the firm grip of his studies. That is very impressive, Leon. From there, his journey continued with the same gusto. He has worked at some of South Africa's top advertising agencies, serving and culturally shifting some of the biggest brands in the country. Leon's work has been recognized locally as well as internationally, winning multiple lions, multiple birds, plenty of pixels, Clio's, DNAD, New York festivals, and Epica. He has judged local award shows and still has his eyes firmly set on the international stages. His writing is not reserved for advertising only. With a passion for screenplay matched with his love for music, he has written for numerous blogs, yet never helming his own. He has documented the South African rock scene, as well as he wrote a full-length documentary around theatres, an upside-down town in South Africa. But for now, some of his more casual traits: he's a fond lover of music, from the Riverside blues to the streets of Compton, dabbles with the drums. I like that, Leon, and above all is a family man. Without any further ado, Leon Kotze, welcome to the Red and Yellow Digital Agency Showcase. Please take it away.
Hi, thanks for that introduction. That's quite a mouthful. Here's the host of letters that Rob was talking about. I am, yes, Associate Creative Director at VMLY&R. What I've done or put together for you today is, it's mostly the work we've done that has been recognized at bookmarks as well. But it's more so a journey of creativity with one of our biggest clients, which is Edgar's, but I'll cross that bridge when I get there. I want to start off with just saying hello to everyone, and this is with one of the pieces that's come out of VMLY&R within our current situation, that is the virus COVID-19. So let me just kick it off like that.
Hello. Hello. Hi. Hello. Hello.
How's it, bud?
Yeah, I miss you guys.
I love you guys so much.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
So big warm hello to everyone. I want to start with the belief at VMLY&R, and I think our core goal, or what we strive towards, is to create work that lives in people's lives. Not creating billboards or TVs that people just drive past or skip or just forget in total, because we'd rather create work that forms part of people, and I think now is a time to do that too, more so than ever, and not just become a noise to the fray, So what that really means is we want to create work that people want to spend time with and share. It's not creating ads that people want to skip. It's it's the content, not the pre-roll. It's where the people are. I think, especially working with a brand like Edgar's, which I'll go through just now. They created work that was a bit alienating and a bit foreign, using international models and all that, and how we've reimagined the brand, really put the brand where the people are at the current situation at that time. It's the work that's part of culture, it's what we wear, it's who we are, it's what's around us and what we interact with. It adds value, it doesn't interrupt our lives. And it is the content. I've mentioned this, and it's not the pre-roll. I think gone are the days where brands need to shout at people saying, you need this, buy this at this price, but rather create content that people relate to, that people choose to be part of rather than skip. So it has a purpose for the brand, and the consumer, ultimately putting the consumer in the center of everything. That is why we do what we do, to really add value to consumers' lives, and not just put money in our own pockets. It brings story and systems together. We are in an exciting time as well, where we have amazing tech like this seminar right now, when we can connect with one another and share stories and share opinions and all that. So I think it is very important for our work to really take the tech world, take real life and put it together and really form something new, pave the way forward. It turns every touch point into a proof point. I think I've come back in advertising, even when I was still AAA, you're given a brief and the first thing you think of is maybe print or TV. Social and all those things were second thoughts, if not third thoughts, but ultimately, we want to relook how we do campaigns, and really every point, even if it's an SMS that we send to our customers or consumers or audiences, that needs to be more than just an SMS. It needs to form part of the bigger campaign and not just a tentacle that goes out to kind of tick that box of that medium. It needs to have a point of view. I think the work that people remember and that people want to interact with is work that says something. I mean, if you look at the work that Nike does with the Colin Kaepernick work, it really has a strong point of view, and it's one of the most memorable and most important campaigns in my point of view. There's another point of view. It's work like that that really cuts through. It means something to, yes, both the brand and to the consumer. I think Nike is also at a point where they're not selling sneakers anymore, but rather the lifestyle and the point of view on that lifestyle. So it's work that moves you as well. I think at the end of the day, you need to feel something. If you're not feeling anything, you've created noise. If it's making someone laugh during times when you don't feel like laughing, if it's making someone cry or just feel empathy, I think all of those emotions, pick yours and really choose what you want to do with your campaign, as long as you move people. Ultimately, when you look at a campaign as well, your work needs to be at least two of these things. It needs to be either entertaining and compelling. It can't just be entertaining. If it's just entertaining, it just becomes, again, noise. And it's compelling. It needs to be useful as well. I think if you have a piece of entertainment that people can use in their lives, that becomes a powerful piece of work. I mean, ultimately, if you have all three, if you're entertaining, compelling, useful at the same time, with the consumer in the center of it all, you've created something that really is remarkable. And it's easier said than done, but at least be two of the three, So I wanted to just share what I feel, what feels like years ago happened, what feels like years happened only minutes ago. I think overnight, how we do things have changed, and the tapestry of work I'm going to show you is before COVID-19. It's before the virus or the pandemic hit us, and the way we've done things were way different. We shot at 7 different locations across 5 days with 300 cast members, crew of 100. I mean, the numbers were astronomical, really running these big productions. And then you look at a job like Hollard, which I opened the campaign with, the presentation with. This really just shot off people's phones. We all became our own producers. We send that into an editor, and that's what you see. That's a product at the end of it. So I really think that how we've been doing things shouldn't be thrown out completely. I think there is a lot of merit in how we've run productions, but I think in a lot of ways we need to go, what is probably the most known saying in advertising, to go back to the drawing board in some ways. Now, maybe not all of it, but how can we become more agile in creating effective work? How can we work faster? I mean, we don't have these set rules that we work to anymore. We don't have an office and we all meet at the meeting that time. It's all becoming very agile, and the businesses that thrive are the agile businesses, I feel. But in some ways, go back to the drawing board, rethink of how we put out work. And just this statement kind of reminded me of Edgar's. When we got them as a client, when VML&Y&R came together to create a dictionary of letters, VMLY&R, they were a complete different brand to what you will see now. They had an old logo. They created work that demanded models from God knows where. It wasn't local, and they've lost relevance with the audience in South Africa. I mean, they're a 90-year-old heritage brand that's come with us since then. But over those years, they've lost their relevance ultimately. And what I want to show you, the next video, and sorry, my presentation has a lot of videos. If it does jump, apologies, bear with me. But I do have a board at the end of each video. I'll take you through all of it. But here, I just wanted to show you the latest piece that I've worked on with Edgar's before the pandemic.
I never really look like the people on TV.
It makes me uncomfortable to look at you. What's wrong with you?
Don't wear this. Cover that up.
What is beauty?
You're not good enough.
Your eyes are so small.
Are you a boy or a girl?
When I decided to not wear the wig anymore, it became very empowering.
I just look different to you. Beauty shouldn't be something that looks like one thing.
You're beautiful as you are.
It's about how I feel about myself.
Embrace your imperfections.
Be fearless in your own skin.
If you don't love yourself, no one's gonna love you.
You should accept exactly who you are.
This is what makes me, me.
Great. So that was for Edgar's Beauty, who had to rebrand themselves as well, because the brand itself, they relaunched, and then Edgar's Beauty had to do the same thing. You really lean into the zeitgeist that people are owning who they are. And, you know, there's this false representation of what beauty is, what perfection is, and it's ultimately your imperfections that take your beauty away from you, and that couldn't be further from the truth, you know. And we really dug a bit deeper and really leaned into what makes us unique as people, you know. And it is our imperfections, it is the freckles that, sure, a lot of people look at their freckles and say, God, I wish I didn't have freckles on my face, because it's always been deemed as whatever, you know. But now let's look at freckles as stars that cover your face, you know, and really lean into every little spot that's on you, and that makes you perfect. So you really wanted to redefine beauty and redefine the word imperfection, and what we found is that your imperfections make you perfect, leading to the line imperfection. What we've done is also used real people. These weren't necessarily, yes, there were a model here and there, but for the most part, the cast was ordinary people. As people who had a strong point of view. They really just shared their opinion on beauty, what beauty meant to them. And the response from the public was amazing. And I think it's something that people needed to hear as well. If you look at Africa, you know, our beauty definition came from the Western world. You know, we're always derivative of the Western world. It was always with entertainment, how we look, how we do our hair. If you go look at a salon, in Alex or in Soweto, you know, there's pictures of David Beckham with a nice little shave on the side there, or Rihanna and all that. There's no pictures of African people, and we really wanted to try and shift that perception of what beauty is and let Africa lean into what makes us beautiful. Yes, there's some stills that we've taken on the campaign as well. It is just, it's chalk and cheese from where we were with Edgar's, and I'll show you where we were. Because our journey didn't start there. Our journey didn't start at being this really inclusive, representative, edgy brand. For the most part, if you look at the bottom of the screen, that's where Edgar's was, with an old logo. There's some white chick just laughing at nothing. You know, it just felt foreign, it felt distant, and we really wanted to relook the brand, and you see what it turned out to be at the top part of the slide. It's also just using our iconic red square as a window of self-expression to put you in the forefront, to really hero you as the art piece that you are. So I'm going to show you the ad that we used to rebrand Edgar's, to relaunch Edgar's, and then I'll show you the case film after that. Oh no, sorry, that's the case film. I'll show you that after the case film.
If Edgar's goes under, it'll be the biggest jobs bloodbath in the country's history.
140,000 people could lose their jobs.
They could be on the brink of liquidation.
The biggest in South African history.
Edgar's, a 90-year-old department store, had completely lost relevance. But how do you reconnect a brand to culture in a country as diverse as South Africa? We partnered with Shoma Josie, Africa's fastest rising star, and a legion of the most expressive African personalities to create
Don't tell me what to do.
An African musical, an anthem of self-expression, starring local talent as themselves. Our diverse cast created their own social content, using Edgar's products to celebrate their individuality.
You are a total little star.
And the song took our message deeper into culture. We created the Shoma Josie collection, inspired by fabrics from her traditional heritage, Africanizing the merchandise, and designed to make our message wearable. We relaunched Live.
It is absolutely amazing here tonight.
Edgar's keeps pushing boundaries.
Connecting the brand to every part of culture and changing Edgar's from this to this.
I like it when you call on the FaceTime, yeah. Your face make me wanna feel better, yeah. I like it when you call on the FaceTime and we don't fall asleep at the same time, yeah. Don't tell me what. Don't tell me what to do.
So I won't show you the ad. I mean, this is just a full commercial. Or actually,
we shall not judge each other, but accept each other for who we are, with all the freedoms to express ourselves. It's only who you truly are. So express yourself. You are there. You are this great nation.
FaceTime, yeah. Your face make me wanna feel better, yeah. I like it when you call and it's bedtime, and we go and fall asleep at the same time, yeah. I like it when you call on the FaceTime, yeah. Your face make me wanna feel better, yeah. I like it when you call and it's bedtime, and we go and fall asleep at the same time, yeah. Don't tell me what. Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what.
So that was the actual film that we created for the relaunch. Hopefully the case film and the film together gives you some sort of idea of what we set out to do, to really start an African movement that was driven by this musical, spearheaded by Shoma Josie. It's quite amazing to see how popular she is as well. We were shooting in Braamfontein, and just the crowds of people on the set was, it's amazing how big she is, you know. But it was a pleasure to work with so many different people. I think the For Sure girls we found on the internet, you know, and we really went to go find them at their school and ask them if they wanted to be in our commercial, really taking people and things that people were interacting with on social and online. And we really want to just add them into our film that became this tapestry of what people wanted, what the consumer wanted to see as well. And really just involving them to become fully representative. Even the metalheads, you can come shop at Edgar's too. What we did as well, and hopefully you remember that little slide I showed you with the consumer in the middle. We wanted to create a range with Shoma Josie, really add value to the audience's lives as well, and not just say, hey, we're Edgar's, we knew just because we say so, come shop with us. We really wanted to give something back to them as well, and give them something that they naturally wanted to engage with and wanted to interact with. So, you know, we worked really closely with Maya or Shoma Josie to create this unique range that, without us asking for people to come buy or to come share it and all that, they did that naturally, and it really just built up the brand. It was an amazing thing to see how collaboration can really just elevate the brand and the audiences as well. And then after that, really the floodgates were open with creativity with Edgar's. I think they got a taste of the work that they actually can do. And they got excited after seeing that case film. I mean, a lot of people in the room had tears in their eyes because they couldn't believe it's the same brand. It was a big thing for everyone, you know. So we even relooked the way we did retail ads. You know, I don't know if you can remember way back when, with Edgar's, they probably put like 6-7 price points in a TV commercial of 30 seconds. And we really changed from that to what I'm going to show you now.
Stitched to endure, riveted to resist, timeless. It's found a home in Malume's cabinet and in Magogo's closet. It's part of the family, that one staple, the great equalizer Mpakatini, whether ripped, dyed, or distressed. It's part of our national fabric. So elevate the culture, kill them with a combo, because there are 100 ways to do you, 100 ways to do denim. Buy any two and get 50% of the second pair.
There it is, a beautiful price point, but it didn't feel so retail to us, you know. They've really come a long way. And to a point where instead of making commercials, we want to tell stories as well with the brand, which, again, it's just a creative stream, especially on Edgar's. I'm going to show you that. This one's a bit longer. I hope it doesn't pause. Let's see. that. So you can see like these are also like just huge productions, and where we need to start thinking twice about how we do things. We want to, with our campaigns as well during Women's Month, make people think and second guess, or not second guess, but rather rethink their behaviors when we talk about women. We really want to, talk to people in a way that's not too disruptive, but it's part of their lives as well. So what we've done is with Women's Day, what we did is we took to Google when people search for derogatory terms that people use to describe women, aka bitch or slut, or pardon my French. It really served an ad to them that questioned their language. And I'll show you the case from here. There's also picked up something at Bookmarks.
As a brand that believes in inclusivity and empowerment, Edgar's wanted to challenge the narrative during Women's Month. They asked one question. Social media and search platforms were scraped to find the derogative words that people used to describe women, and in real time, confronted them with alternative word suggestions. The audience too could submit words that, rather than break down, sets a new standard and norm for generations to come. The rest of the campaign challenged the narrative with portraits of powerful women. All this as support to the ongoing fight for female inclusivity and equality.
Mostly what I wanted to say here is we really transcended with this brand past past price points and fashion only, and to really create content that people wanted to engage with, that's a bit more crafted, a bit more art-like, and it just really gave new personality to Edgar. So I'm going to jump through these because of the time constraints, and because of the work on Edgar's, we never thought we'd be in a position with this brand where we'd walk away with 6 bookmarks in one sitting, which was really great. And this is how we watched it. It's a new time, for all of us. It's a different time for all of us. But I think as creatives, it is our responsibility to see how do we break things apart, put them back together, and really, rethink how we do everything, question everything. Because those big productions I just showed you, I think, yes, there will still be some of those, but there are innovations in how we produce. There are innovations in how we think, in different ways we need to think smaller, but a bit more effective as well. And that's where I am. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Leon. That was great. Thank you very much. Leon, I got to say, people love your work. The chat is lighting up. So we have a lot of questions for you, Leon. I'm going to just take it from the top, and quite a variety of questions. The first one I'm going to ask you is from Pumalele. And the question is, we are seeing more and more brands going African, such as Absa or Mutual Edgars, etc. The images and scenes are looking very similar. Do you think this will still look authentic in a year or two? And if not, how do we continue to tell the African story, but in a unique and authentic way for every specific brand? I think that's an excellent question.
I think it's a great question too. Thanks. So next question. No, sorry. Sorry, my kid's crying in the background, so apologies if you can hear him. Lockdown's been hard on all of us.
Also,
you know what? There is this rise in African identity, and I think when it comes to being authentic, authenticity in itself needs to be authentic to me. I think it is not, it's once we start stealing from other directors. I think there was an ad that went out by, I think it was Absa or so, and everyone starts stealing the same aesthetics. That becomes all the same. But when you want to stay true to who Africa is, we need to use real people. I think once you start dressing up models, especially with a brand like Edgar, start dressing them up to look a certain way that we feel is representative of an African nation, You go into African futurism and all that, but once you grab ordinary people, like we did with the Edgar's Beauty campaign, in itself, to me, it becomes authentic. It becomes their voices that you rather put on a pedestal rather than painting people to represent what you want to say. And I think that will always stay authentic if you use real people, if you use African people. Because we need to cut ties. I want to cut ties completely, but with a Western aesthetic, we've studied a lot, and I think now is a beautiful time for the rise of Africa,
I agree. The next question I'm going to give you is from Erica Conradi. And in fact, I might, Leon, actually ask you two questions here. The other one from Rory McRobert. So Erica asks, she says, I have to be honest and say that the digital rebranding you've shown us today is vastly different from the impression I get from the stores themselves. What can you do to ensure that rebranding is incorporated into more than what your agency is actually involved in? That's Erica's question. And then Rory asks, hey, Leon, do you think that Edgar's work resonated with the average South African as much as it did with the execs in the office? It's a question I find very interesting. How often the perception of brand managers is different to the market they're selling to? So both of those questions speak to a potential disconnect in the work between the people and the activities on the ground. Can you speak to that, please?
Yeah, no, I think the big thing, and I think just to address the first question, where if you look at face value, the work we put on digital and social and on TV and all that, obviously what happens on the ground needs to be representative of that too. What they did, Edgar's as a brand, is they did start fundamentally changing their stores, other than just the logo, the layouts and where things are, and the design. If you look at Fourways, Sandton, and they were going to open one, or they probably still are going to open in V&A Waterfront. Those are the flagship stores that really helmed the change. Obviously there's some stores that played catching up because of the enormous business that it is and the amount of money that goes into reimagining these stores. It is a big part of the business to back up what you say. What they do, I can't speak much about, but I do feel that our relationship with the client was so that they never wanted us to do work that they couldn't back up. Yes, some stores, not the flagship ones, fell behind a little bit, but before we got locked down and the discussions we had, everything was pointing towards transforming completely. So that's where we are at the moment, And when it comes to the execs sharing the same sentiment, I do think that a lot of times you do have people who sit in corner offices that say, I want this with the brand. Or it's one guy who doesn't agree with what you're saying because he's not in the same conversations that we are, But I do, ultimately, everything comes down to opinion for me. I can show someone one piece of work and show someone else the same piece of work, and they're going to have different opinions about it. That's why it's so important to have a close relationship with your client, the people at the top, to take them along the journey with you, rather than working in isolation, showing them, and they're like, no, I don't like it, or they need to change it to that. And I think that's a lot of times where that conversation or the dialogue starts of, the clients are killing our ideas, or the clients are, taking the idea away from it. I think that's purely because you show them the end product and you don't go digging with them, and I think it's important to include your clients in the whole journey from thinking to executing. I don't want to go show someone this treasure chest that I've found in the middle of nowhere, but I'd rather take people to the location, go dig with them, make them part of that journey.
My second last question for you is again from Elaine Rumble. She's very clever and doesn't miss a beat. And I actually had a similar reaction to this stat, and I don't really understand the stats. I'm curious. I'm hoping you can unpack it. The imperfection ad, you said the engagement rate was 4.63%, and Elaine says it seems low? ? Is that low?
Well, yeah, I think standards are probably like 1% or 0.1%. I think that is like when you buy.
What is engagement rate?
That is the people who actually, if you put content on there, or on, let's say on Facebook, you put content on there and people start asking questions, or they actually go to where you want to drive them to, they become part of the conversation rather than just scrolling past. Whether that be an act like sharing, liking, actually chatting to us as well, or going to the platforms where we drive them. If you look at a rich media banner, which the engagement rate, whoever clicks on a banner, that's probably like a 0.2% engagement rate. If you reach something like 2%, that is astronomical in my mind, So those percentages seem low, but no one's going to engage with everything they see on social all the time. We don't have the time for that. And that is why your work needs to be clear, concise, and really break through and have a point of view. And those brings those percentages up. But yes, it does seem small, but in behind the scenes, those are big numbers.
Leon, thank you so much for joining us today on the Digital Agency Showcase. I'm going to ask everyone to give you a virtual round of applause.
Thank you very much.
And we hope to have you again next year. You just have to win a few more awards.